The silence of space shattered with a sudden piercing alarm. Lieutenant Aaron Cade's fingers froze over the console. Deep in the orbiting research station, he had grown used to the hum of machinery and the endless glitter of stars outside the window. But today, the sensors pulsed with a strange energy, one that set his nerves on edge. Something was moving, and it wasn't supposed to be there. A metallic hiss echoed behind him. He spun around. The hallway was empty. Only the station's faint lights danced across the walls, casting shadows that seemed to slither and twist. Aaron swallowed hard, trying to convince himself it was nothing. Yet his gut screamed otherwise. The alarm blared again, louder this time. Red lights flashed violently, throwing the room into chaos. Over the intercom, a voice shouted, trembling with urgency, "All personnel to the containment wing. Alien breach detected." Repeat, "Alien breach detected." Aaron's heart hammered in his chest. He had trained for emergencies, drills he had gone through 100 times, but no drill prepared anyone for this. He grabbed his plasma sidearm and ran, the echo of his boots bouncing down the narrow corridor. Other soldiers were converging, faces pale, eyes wide. Panic thrummed in the air, heavy and contagious. Aaron met the gaze of Mara, a young scientist, who shook her head as he reached her. "It's the feral girl." "She's loose," she whispered, her voice tight. He froze. The feral girl. Rumors of her had circulated in hushed tones. She wasn't just another alien specimen. She was deadly, unpredictable, smart. Stories said she could sense fear and respond in ways no human could survive. Dangerous? Aaron asked. Mara nodded. Highly, but not mindless. She's calculating. If she senses weakness, she attacks. If she trusts, maybe she doesn't. The containment doors hissed open as they reached the wing. The room looked like a storm had torn through it. Shattered glass, overturned machinery, deep scratches carved into metal walls. The signs of her passage were everywhere, and they all knew what it meant. The feral girl was near. Then Aaron saw her. She crouched in the shadows at the far end of the room. Wild hair framed her glimmering, alien eyes. They were sharp, aware, and terrifyingly intelligent. She didn't move, yet the air around her felt electric, as if the room itself held its breath. Aaron's hand tightened on his weapon. Soldiers mirrored him, tension radiating like a visible current. Mara stepped forward, shaking her head. "Don't provoke her. She reacts to fear. One wrong move, and—" She didn't finish, but Aaron didn't need her to. The plan was insane. Lock a human inside the cell with her to calm her down. But hesitation wasn't an option. The station was at risk, and no one had time to argue. Aaron swallowed hard as he stepped forward. Every instinct screamed at him to stay back, yet he moved closer. The feral girl didn't lunge. She only watched, crouched like a predator and a child at the same time. The containment team guided her into a specially designed cell. Aaron followed. The heavy door hissed shut behind him, leaving him alone with the alien everyone feared. She studied him, tilting her head, eyes calculating, almost intelligent in a way that chilled him. He kept breathing steady, trying to stay calm. Then, unexpectedly, she stepped closer, her movements smooth, careful, almost hesitant. Aaron lowered his weapon slightly. She mirrored him, crouching on the floor. The tension in the room was suffocating. One wrong move could be the end of him. Minutes passed. Then, in a motion that shocked him, she leaned forward, resting her head near his chest. Aaron froze. Outside the cell, alarms screamed and soldiers scrambled. Unaware of the fragile moment forming inside, he realized the unexpected war wasn't against her. It was against fear, misunderstanding, and the walls built between species. And in that quiet, suspended moment, he understood surviving this would depend on trust, not weapons. Time stretched. The universe outside moved on, indifferent to their fragile bond forming in the heart of the station. And Aaron wondered, with a chill running down his spine, was this calm the start of something? Or the calm before a storm? The cell was quiet, almost too quiet. Outside, alarms still blared and soldiers scrambled. But inside, Aaron could hear only the soft hum of the station and the faint, uneven breathing of the feral girl. She sat across from him, her dark, shimmering eyes following his every move. For a moment, he wondered if she was truly aware of him or if she was studying him like another object in the room. Aaron shifted slightly, careful not to startle her. He remembered Mara's warning, fear triggers her. So he breathed slowly, letting his pulse steady. One wrong movement and this fragile balance could shatter. He tried to think of what she might understand: words, gestures, calm presence. He didn't know, but he had to try. "Hey," he whispered, voice low and steady. "I won't hurt you." Her head tilted. One small alien gesture, but enough to send a flicker of hope through him. She didn't move closer, but she didn't move away either. Her eyes tracked him like a predator analyzing prey, yet there was curiosity there. Something human, almost childlike, mixed into the alien intensity. Hours passed in silence. Aaron forced himself to remain still, occasionally offering a gentle word or slow movement. He noticed subtle changes, the way her body relaxed slightly when he spoke softly, the way she mirrored his breathing. It was fragile, but it was progress. Then she made a sound, a low, guttural hum that vibrated through the metal floor. Aaron froze. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't a warning. It was a sound of attention, of recognition. He whispered back, mimicking the tone as best as he could. She cocked her head, her eyes narrowing in careful study. Something clicked in that moment. She wasn't just reacting. She was learning, adapting, and observing. Aaron realized that fear alone wouldn't control her, but trust might. And trust had to start somewhere. Over the next hours, he found small ways to communicate. He pointed at objects. He moved slowly to indicate he meant no harm. She watched everything, sometimes approaching, sometimes retreating. Each interaction was small, careful, and full of tension. But it was progress. As night fell on the station, or what passed for night in orbit, the alarms finally subsided. The chaos outside quieted, leaving only the soft hum of life support and the occasional distant echo of a footstep. Aaron sat back, exhausted but alert. He glanced at the feral girl. She had moved closer, almost imperceptibly, her body tense but curious. He whispered again, "You're safe. For now." And then, something happened that made his heart skip a beat. Slowly, deliberately, she moved forward and rested her head against his chest. It was brief, but it was contact, a gesture he had never expected. Her warmth was alien, unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. Aaron didn't move. He didn't breathe too heavily. He simply let the moment exist, fragile and fleeting. Minutes stretched. He felt her breathing, uneven but steady. And as the tension began to ebb slightly, he realized that this connection, this fragile bond, was a turning point. For the first time, she seemed to recognize him not as a threat, not as a prisoner, but as someone she could trust. Or at least, someone she was willing to test that trust with. Suddenly, a loud clanging echoed from outside the cell. The station shuddered. Aaron's heart leapt. She lifted her head sharply, eyes wide and alert. The feral girl's instincts had not dulled, and she reacted immediately. Crouching low, muscles tense, ready to spring, Aaron whispered quickly, "It's okay. It's just the station. We're safe. Stay calm." Her gaze flicked between him and the door. Then, slowly she sat back down, though her eyes remained alert. It was a lesson neither of them had anticipated. She would trust, but only while testing every second for danger. Hours turned into a long, tense night. Aaron and the feral girl shared the small space, learning each other's rhythms. Words were scarce, but gestures and glances spoke volumes. Each time he lowered his weapon slightly, each time he offered calm presence, she responded in kind. The bond was silent, subtle, and growing stronger with every hour. Aaron began to notice other things too, the way she reacted to sounds, the subtle patterns in her movement, the flicker of emotion in her eyes. She was not only intelligent but adaptive, learning not just from the environment, but from him. Fear alone would never hold her. Understanding, patience, and trust might. By morning, the first hints of light from the distant planet reflected through the observation window. Aaron glanced at her. She was asleep, head still resting lightly against his chest. For the first time since the containment breach, he allowed himself to relax slightly. The moment was fragile. Outside, the station still hummed with tension. No one knew if this peace would last. But for Aaron, it was proof that even in a universe built on fear, walls between species could be crossed. He didn't move. He didn't breathe too heavily. He simply watched over her, aware that this bond so unexpected, so delicate, might be the only thing keeping both of them alive. And somewhere deep inside, he understood the truth. The unexpected war was far from over. Trust was a weapon, patience was armor, and the alien sitting quietly against him was neither enemy nor ally. Not yet. But the possibility of alliance, fragile, had arrived. Hours stretched. Every noise outside made them tense. Every shadow flicker brought a flinch. And yet, within the cell, a quiet understanding had begun, a bond that neither orders nor fear could destroy. Aaron knew one thing: the next hours, the next day, would test everything they had built. And he also knew that, despite all odds, he and the feral girl were no longer alone in this battle. Together, they were learning what it meant to survive and maybe, just maybe, to understand one another in a universe that often refused to forgive difference. The alarms had stopped, but the station was far from safe. Systems were damaged from the earlier breach, and the faint hum of machinery masked the danger lurking in the shadows. Aaron could feel it, the tension, the silent threat, the unknown. The feral girl stirred against his chest. She lifted her head, dark eyes studying him carefully. There was no fear now, only awareness. Aaron whispered softly, "We need to get out. Now." She blinked slowly, as if weighing his words. Then, in a sudden burst of speed, she leapt from the floor, landing silently like a shadow. Her movements were precise, instinctual. Aaron followed, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He could feel her presence behind him, a silent guide, and an unpredictable force at the same time. The corridors were a maze of broken panels, flashing lights and scattered equipment. Outside the windows, the planet below glowed red with dawn, but the real danger lay inside the station. Security systems had gone offline, and any moment, another breach could happen. Aaron led her to the control room. Mara's voice came over the comm, tense but relieved. "Aaron, are you both okay? We can stabilize the station if you get to the core." He nodded, though she couldn't see. "We're coming. Stay ready." The feral girl followed silently, crouching low, sensing every movement around them. She wasn't just accompanying him. She was protecting him in ways he could barely understand. Her instincts were sharper than any human soldier's, yet she had chosen to trust him. They reached the control room, and Aaron quickly accessed the main console. Systems flickered as he tried to bring life back to the failing station. Lights blinked on, emergency panels activated, and a soft hum replaced the dangerous silence. They had bought themselves time, but Aaron knew it wouldn't last forever. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the room. Another alien, larger, more aggressive, had breached containment in a different section. It roared, shaking the walls. Aaron froze for a second, fear gripping him, but then he felt the feral girl's presence behind him. She growled low, a sound that vibrated through the floor. Without hesitation, she leapt forward, confronting the alien with unmatched speed and power. Aaron watched, stunned. Her strength was incredible, her intelligence in combat unmatched. She didn't strike blindly, every move was calculated, precise. Within moments, the larger alien was subdued, pinned against the wall, unable to resist. Aaron's heart raced. He realized then that she wasn't just dangerous, she was extraordinary. And more importantly, she had chosen to protect him. Mara's voice came again, urgent. "Aaron, we can seal the station, but it's now or never." Aaron looked at the feral girl. Her eyes met his, a silent question, a silent understanding. He nodded. She followed his lead, moving toward the core. Together, they activated the emergency lockdown, sealing off the breached sections. Slowly, the station stabilized. Systems hummed steadily, alarms silenced, and the danger faded for now. Aaron exhaled, his muscles tense, but relief began to wash over him. He looked at the feral girl. She was watching him again, her head tilted slightly. No aggression, no fear, only awareness and trust. For the first time he spoke clearly. "You saved me." Her lips twitched, almost like a smile or perhaps a mimicry of one. She stepped closer, brushing against him in a gesture that was both alien and intimate. Aaron realized that their bond had grown stronger than words could describe. They had survived chaos, danger, and misunderstanding. Now they had something that neither had expected: connection. Suddenly, a weak transmission flickered across the console. Mara's voice sounded urgent, yet hopeful. "Aaron, we have permission to evacuate. The station can hold for now, but we need to get you both to safety." He nodded. "Let's go." They moved quickly through the corridors. The feral girl stayed close, silent but vigilant. Every shadow, every sound could have been a threat, but she had learned to rely on him and he on her. The alliance was fragile, but it was real. As they reached the evacuation bay, Aaron paused. He looked at her, unsure how to express what he felt. Words seemed meaningless. She tilted her head, and in that simple gesture, he understood. They were more than survivor and alien. They were partners, allies forged in the fire of chaos. The escape pod sealed behind them, and they were propelled away from the station, leaving the chaos behind. Aaron watched the feral girl, sitting across from him, her eyes reflecting the stars outside. He reached out slowly, placing a hand near hers. She didn't recoil. Instead, she rested her hand lightly on his, a gesture of trust, of understanding, of connection. For a long moment, silence filled the pod. Then Aaron whispered, "We made it, together." The feral girl tilted her head once more, a sound vibrating in her throat. It wasn't human speech, but Aaron understood. It was acknowledgement, gratitude, and perhaps a promise. Outside, the station drifted into orbit, stabilized but still scarred by the events. Inside the pod, two unlikely allies sat side by side, bound not by fear, but by trust. The universe was vast and indifferent, filled with dangers humans could barely comprehend. But in that small, fragile space, survival had become something more. They had faced the unexpected war, endured chaos, and discovered the power of connection across species. And though no one could predict what the future held, one truth was certain: together, they were unstoppable. Aaron leaned back, letting himself relax for the first time in what felt like an eternity. The feral girl's hand remained near his, a constant reminder that even in the darkest corners of space, trust and understanding could thrive. The stars outside continued their endless march. And inside the pod, two souls, one human. One alien had discovered something extraordinary, that even in a universe built on fear, friendship, loyalty, and courage could shine brighter than any threat. The journey was far from over. But for now, they had each other. And sometimes that was enough.